Hello and welcome back to the Daily Royal, a podcast covering the daily events of all the European royal families. Today, we are finally going to cover all of the events from January 16th, which was Saturday, all the way through to today, January 19th of 2021. I would like to apologize for missing yesterday. You guys, I have no idea what happened. I literally, all of a sudden it was 11 p.m. on Monday, and I realized it was Monday. Therefore, making it, impossible to record and edit this podcast and get it up on time. And also, it was 11 p.m. I was getting ready for bed when I realized it was Monday. I was that far behind on the 8 ball. I cannot believe that I did that. I don't know that I've ever forgotten that I was supposed to be recording a podcast, ever. I've not done it, but I don't think I've ever forgotten. So that was new. Not sure what that was about, other than it was a weird week. So we are going to jump right in. This is going to be a little bit of a longer episode, I expect, because we are covering 7 countries and 4 days. So could be a little bit longer, but also it's still January and things are still really slow. However, there has been something in every country over the past 4 days. So it'll be a little bit longer. I'm going to try and keep it to 5-minute segments or so, just to try and help us all out. So we are going to jump right in with the Belgian royal family. In Belgium, the weekend was quiet, as is pretty normal for Belgium. There are very rarely ever weekend events. So Saturday and Sunday, there was nothing. And so we'll start with Monday. Monday, as per the usual, King Philippe held his weekly audience with the Prime Minister of Belgium. And then together with Prime Minister Alexander De Croo, King Philippe swore in a newly appointed justice or judge to the Constitutional Court. So as I promised earlier in the year, I did want to do a little bit more digging on some of these government systems that the monarchs are involved in. And so I did a little bit of that. Not a lot, just a little. And I learned that the Constitutional Court, much like the name says, is the court focused on the Constitution of Belgium and what is within the laws of Belgium and not. It's the highest court of the land and is comparable, if you're from the States, to the Supreme Court. Here is a little bit of controversy that the wonderful world of Wikipedia has given me. So apparently, because Belgium and Europe in general are just so advanced, the court has 12 members, only 3 of which are women. And so as part of some equal opportunity laws, because Belgium is so evolved, I say that in sarcasm, but they are really evolved, and it actually infuriates me that there's no precedent like this for the US. But that's why I said it like that. Okay, however, so the government is supposed to be appointing women until they reach a 1/3 participation, which would mean that 4 of them are supposed to be women. Currently, there are 3 sitting on the court. So when this was reached in maybe 2016, it was assumed that the next nominee would be a woman. He was not. So in 2018, it was a man. And then the gentleman sworn in yesterday, again, a man. So there are still 3 out of 12, making it a 25% women in charge instead of hold on. I literally forgot how to do math, but they don't have a third of the majority, just a fourth. So that was infuriating to me. I am not Belgian, but this rule seems like it should be put in place, and it's not, and it annoys me. However, I'm coming from a country that is finally just about to get its first woman in the highest-ish elected in the executive branch. It's the second highest office in the land. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. I'm still not convinced it's going to happen, y'all. It's been a wild ride here in the U.S. Okay, moving on to Tuesday. King Philippe held an audience with the State Secretary for Digitization. This is a continuous thing. He's meeting with government officials. It seems like we've moved on from the ministerial level down a level to the state secretaries. So that's awesome. And then he had a lot of audiences today. He also had an audience with the Secretary General of NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is basically the organization that has come out of World War II, where all of the countries involved have basically formed a pact that they will protect each other. This is something that is super important to the defense of these European countries, as well as the U.S., which is a member, to keep everyone safe and hopefully prevent. It's just another kind of safety measure in the prevention of a third world war. So that happened, and again, this is something King Philippe and Queen Mathilde will typically hold New Year's receptions. However, that is not possible in an age of COVID, so they have been meeting with the heads of the different organizations they typically meet with, and NATO is the last one. NATO is headquartered in Brussels, which is why they meet with the commanders and such for NATO. And then finally, on King Philippe's agenda, we're almost done. This is not going to work. This is not going to be 5 minutes. We're close. So also today on King Philippe's agenda, he met with the president of Moldova in an audience. I didn't really read too much about it. I don't know why she's there or anything like that. But that happened. And then finally, it's a lot, guys. Today, Queen Mathilde visited Handicap International, which is an organization, a nonprofit or a non-governmental organization, where she participated in a roundtable discussion on the future of the organization, which has an ultimate aim to help people with disability toward living an autonomous, independent life. So that's what was going on in Belgium. And we are now very quickly going to move on to the UK. Well, it was another quiet weekend in the British royal family. Here's the thing, y'all. The UK is still in lockdown. The royal family is abiding by it because there has been some not great PR just around abiding by the laws and stuff of lockdown for multiple members of the royal family, but particularly the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. But I don't expect them to break any kind of anything, because that didn't go over very well. So there has been nothing public facing whatsoever. Almost everything that's happening is happening behind the scenes. So on Monday, after nothing on Saturday or Sunday, on Monday, the Prince of Wales digitally attended the Philharmonia concert soiree, which was held entirely digitally because the UK is in lockdown. So we haven't seen any like video or anything like that from there yet. I expect that maybe in the next couple of days, but right now doesn't exist. So that is what was going on yesterday. I'm now going to quickly check the court circular, and it looks like there was one event. Oh, there were two. Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about this. However, because Queen Elizabeth was not actually participating, but this is a court circular event, so I'm going to read it and then explain a little bit about it. By command of the Queen, the Marshal of the Diplomatic Corps telephoned His Excellency Mr. Robert Wood Johnson this afternoon in order to bid farewell to His Excellency upon relinquishing his appointment as ambassador from the USA to the Court of St. James. Okay, so the Court of St. James is what the UK is kind of called. It's where the ambassadors are sent to. And you guys, it's starting. I can't wait. So for those who don't understand the U.S. diplomatic system, typically these are political appointments, political donors, who have been sent to represent the U.S. and aid in U.S. interaction in the country. So, the ambassador from the U.S. to the Court of St. James or to Britain, England, is, by my understanding, a political person, political donor who was supported by President Trump, and who is just like, in general, a political hack. And it's just very exciting for me to see these ambassadors leave. It's just a step in the process of like a new administration is being sworn in tomorrow, and life will hopefully seem a little more normal. And so anyway, okay. So he'll probably leave his post tomorrow because he will no longer serve the current president, which is amazing. And for those who are listening after January 20th, I hope that I will have calmed down by then. But like when new ambassadors come from the US that have been appointed by Joe Biden, I will be very excited. I will talk about them. And I'm going to be really excited when the old ambassadors that were appointed by President Trump are leaving, because that's just another sign that this chaotic, stressful 4 years has been over. So bear with me. I'm trying not to get too political, but like I've made my political stances very clear. And so I'm going to enjoy this moment. Okay, moving on now. Also on the court circular is the Duchess of Cambridge. Had a video link meeting with nurses as part of her role as patron for the Nursing Now campaign. And then she also spoke to survivors of the Holocaust and the Holocaust Educational Trust's youth ambassadors. So we are coming up on, I think it's January 27th, will be the 76th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, and what really became kind of the marking of the end of the Second World War. And so there are going to be a lot of events kind of centered around this in the next coming weeks, I suspect. However, I do want to also say, like, with these will be as respectful to the tragedy as possible, and talk about it with as much dignity and solemnness as possible. So unfortunately, that is where we are going to end the British royal family's update. And now we are going to go ahead and move on now to Denmark. You guys, there was an event in Denmark. I'm shooketh. I am so shocked. I'm so excited. This is the first event all year, except for, I think maybe there was one thing on the 4th, but it's now the 19th. So this is extremely exciting. So we're going to start with the fact that on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, there was nothing. And then as I looked last night, because I was going to try and record a podcast at 11 p.m., but it just was not going to happen. I saw that this event was on the calendar, and I was very excited because, wow, someone is working in Denmark. Listen, everyone has a right to a holiday. I'm all for that. We're living in a pandemic. It's not a judgment. It's truly just, I miss them. And so I'm glad that Crown Princess Mary was back to work today. So today, Mary took part in a digital meeting with the ICPD 25, which is a conference, high-level commission that was created in I think on September 17th of 2020. You can actually go back and listen to that episode where I talk about it a little bit more. But there was a conference on women's health and general women's rights in Nairobi in 2019, where several commitments were made about ways to make sure that women are, granted equal access to everything, including health rights. And because of a pandemic, access has been greatly constrained because we're living in the middle of a pandemic. So in September, a commission was created full of high-profile individuals, including Crown Princess Mary, to make sure that these commitments are able to stay on track and create plans for this, even though we're living in a pandemic. Because, I want to be pretty blunt and say, things in the developed world are looking okay. I mean, they're not, but, we're going to live through the pandemic, most of us. Unfortunately, a lot are not. But we're getting vaccinations. Vaccinations are here. Things are looking kind of on the up and up. I say that after the U.S. finally has had, 10 minutes of official mourning so far for the victims. Things are not good. I want to be very clear. Things are really terrible. But, we're getting vaccinated and we're able to do a lot of these things. It might not be comfortable. It's definitely not fun. It's hard, but we're able to. And in an underdeveloped country where women do not have access to, health and equal rights, things are not really going to improve as quickly as they have been here. The pandemic is going to rage on. The constraints of the pandemic are going to exist for a long time. And it's going to hit underdeveloped communities and countries more so than anything else. So this high-level commission was created so that underdeveloped countries can still somehow stay on track with these goals. Now, they don't share a ton about what these meetings are about. I don't know if they ever release minutes or anything like that, because that's hard. But it was an event, and I am very excited that Mary is back to work. And hopefully, I don't know if this means a pickup in the Danish royal calendar. I hope it does, but we'll see. So, with that, we are going to go ahead and move on now to the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, after the shock of the government resignation on Friday, there was nothing on Saturday or Sunday, which again is extremely common for the Netherlands. I don't expect weekend events hardly ever, unless it would be part of a tour or something like that, which we won't see more than likely this year. So we're moving into Monday, where Queen Maxima took part in a virtual conversation with a mental health organization called Mind, or MIND, where they talked about Blue Monday and ways to combat sadness. So Blue Monday is something I had never heard of until yesterday, where apparently this third Monday of the year is supposedly the saddest day of the year because you're coming off of the high of the holidays, which I don't know if it counts this year because, like, I didn't have a holiday high. I celebrated one day and then it was over and then, like, that was it. But then I also really did spend most of my day just kind of chilling yesterday and was not super happy. But it wasn't sad. I don't know. Anyway, you're coming off of the high of the holidays. It's cold. It's dark. I don't know. It's something I had never heard of, but it was like a really good thing to learn about. And so Queen Maxima took part in this conversation with the mental health organization Mind, where again, they just talked about ways to like combat sadness and coping strategies and stuff like that. So that was yesterday, and then Queen Maxima was at it today with 3 different virtual meetings, all as part of her role as the UN Secretary General's special advocate for financial inclusion and development, which is always such a mouthful. But I want to always say it anyway because I think it's important that I share like the full information and not the abbreviation, which doesn't always make sense. So the first thing that happened is Queen Maxima went on a virtual visit to the country of Senegal to she does this pretty much annually. She'll go on a visit and partake in different conversations about the country and their access to finance options. So that's what this was, except you can't go to other countries right now. So she went virtually. And then she participated in an online conversation with the governor of the Central Bank of Mexico. And finally, a digital conversation with the director of the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, all about inclusive finance on an international scale. So there weren't a lot of details released on this when I was putting together this outline. However, like, there aren't always, and sometimes the information will come much later as part of like her annual report, which doesn't come out until like September. So she does these events, weekly, monthly. It really depends on what the role needs from her, but she is pretty active in the special advocate role and does things quite a bit there. So that's what was going on in the Netherlands. Not a whole lot of information because they weren't sharing information. They'll update it tomorrow, but like I'm recording a podcast now, so can't really go into too much. But with that, we are going to go ahead and move on now to Norway. Well, we made it to our halfway mark. Actually, we're past our halfway mark. And there isn't a lot to discuss in the next 3 countries. So we'll be okay. Oh, there is a lot to discuss in Norway. Sorry, I misspoke. But Spain and Sweden were pretty light. So, on Sunday in Norway, it was King Harald's Pearl Jubilee, or the 30-year anniversary of him becoming King of Norway. And so to mark the occasion, the royal couple, so King Harald and Queen Sonja, released 4 new pictures, a video, and then like kind of a recap of their, like it was a 2-minute video on YouTube about like their time on the throne the past 30 years. And a part of me is like sad because I think this probably would have been like a party. I mean, they never talked about it because by last year, when things would have been being planned, we were in a pandemic. So, of course, that's, can't happen. But a part of me is like bummed because I looked at pictures and stuff from their 25th anniversary, 25th, I think it's the Silver Jubilee is 25 years, I think. And it's just like, it's a party. It's a good time. And like, of course that can't happen right now, but a part of me was sad. But then like the way they did celebrate it honestly was so special. Like the new photos are so stinking cute. I'll be very honest in this moment. I don't love a lot of the like older Scandinavian royals. I'm much more interested in the younger generation of Scandinavian royals. But King Harald and Queen Sonja have like won my heart over the past year of talking about them and covering them. Like they're just really cute and they're so committed to their country. And I just think like it's amazing. Like they're so great. And so I was very excited by these pictures. I found them to be just adorable pictures in general. It was just really cute. They sent a video message to the Norwegian people where they thanked them for like allowing them to be on this journey with them over the past 30 years. And then, like I said, kind of this video summary really highlighted like a lot of things. The good, the atrocities that Norway has felt. So I think it was in 2011, there was a pretty brutal terrorist attack in 2 different locations, and I think it was the first time King Harald like ever showed emotion on stage or anything like that, and it was just really sad. But like they highlighted that and like the ups and downs that they've been through in the past 30 years, like in terms of what Norway has been going through. And it was just this really beautiful moment. It was, like I said, it was like 2 minutes long. It was not a long video at all. It was just so well done and well edited. I think I've mentioned this. I'm kind of like on an emotional hair trigger at this point. Hoping that goes away tomorrow. And maybe after some therapy or something. I don't know. But like I was crying in it. I was smiling. It was a great moment. And I'm not Norwegian. I just really like these 2. And so I just found it to be a really pretty video and like congratulations to them. I know sometimes these anniversaries of being on the throne are really difficult because it typically means that their parent died on the same day. Like I know Queen Elizabeth, I don't know if she's ever publicly said, but it's definitely widely reported that she does not like her anniversary of her reign because it's the same day her father died. And I think the same has been said with Queen Margrethe. Like, they don't love that day. It's just a day, and honestly, they spend a lot of it in, like, mourning because they lost someone they loved. But I think the way the Norwegian royal household did it was really like not focused on the day they became king and queen, but focused on like the past 30 years. And I just thought that was really special. And it was really great. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful part of Sunday. So then we got through all of that. And then on Monday, King Harald and Crown Prince Haakon held an audience with the chief of the army. And then today, Tuesday, Crown Prince Haakon digitally opened the Seafood Days, which is typically a large conference for all the different parts and pieces of seafood distribution, from fishermen to sales and all of the above. So he pre-recorded the video, and it took place at a docked shrimp boat. So he opened the conference and then was able to talk to the captain and some of the crew of the shrimp boat, about their experience during COVID. And, COVID, of course, we know it impacts like a lot of different things, but fishermen, particularly this fisherman, makes most of his living selling the fresh caught shrimp from his boat to tourists in Oslo. Tourists aren't coming in, so he has his main selling group is not there. And so that was like a really interesting piece. Every now and then the royals will still surprise me with like a new group of people that have been affected by the pandemic and a new way that people have been affected. And this was that today. So that is what we had going on in Norway. It was a wonderful weekend. And now we are going to move on to Spain. In Spain, we have some events this week. They weren't canceled. I had a fear that both of these were going to be canceled because it was noon and they hadn't happened yet today on my time, which meant it was like 6 p.m. in Spain. However, they both happened right at about 6 p.m. So on Monday, I should preface, there was nothing on Saturday or Sunday, at all whatsoever. No tweets, nothing. So we get to Monday, and King Felipe participated in the 113th meeting of the Executive Council of the World Tourism Organization, which is an international group that focuses on international tourism. So tourism throughout all the different parts of the world. So in King Felipe's speech, he really just talked about the importance of tourism and how painfully bad it is for the tourism industry. So this is something that I have talked about several times, and usually in regards to Spain, because their government in summer of 2020 really made a push for tourism. Like that's how that's their path to rebuilding their economy. That's the only way Spain can really rebuild their economy. But it's really bad for everyone. I mean, I'm a U.S. citizen. I can't go anywhere because I'm banned from the EU because, well, we did a dismal job of handling COVID. The UK has just shut down to international visitors. So, I can't go anywhere as a tourist. And a lot of people are in that. And then there's also the economic impact that COVID has had on individuals. And so we still can't go anywhere because we have no money. So it's a rough world. And that's really what King Felipe's speech was focused on, but also the good that tourism can bring. So yeah, it's a rough world out there for tourism. So that was Monday's event. And then today, King Felipe presided over the Conference of Ambassadors of Spain. So this is something that existed until 2008, and it seems like the Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Union Relations, I don't know what her full title is, brought it back to focus on the foreign policy of Spain as well as the upcoming priorities of the foreign service, so the diplomatic service of Spain. And so it didn't really talk about like why they brought it back. They don't have Felipe's speech anywhere, so I can't watch it. I haven't watched the minister's opening address to figure out why now was the time to bring it back. I am going to presume, and this is like a big assumption, and I'm not qualified enough to make this assumption, but I'm going to make it anyway, because I know enough, not a lot, but enough, that I can safely assume that the foreign relations world is going to change a lot, because the U.S. is not a reliable partner for the foreign community. Of course, I think we will be for 4 years, but we have not been for the past 4. And our future is so confusing right now, that other countries need to start learning how to have these conversations and be a part of the global community without the U.S. So I would assume that has a little bit to do with it. And also, relations between other countries are changing. Like, they're evolving, which is normal in general, but like the U.S. chaos does not help with that. So that's what I assume, but I haven't listened to any speeches. It's just a educated guess as to why something like that would be happening, because Spain needs to have more reliable partners than the U.S. because we're not all that reliable. So it needs to have foreign policy discussions with Germany and France and some of these, the UK and some of these other power players that aren't us. So that's what was going on in Spain. They still have a full calendar for the week. Mostly it's King Felipe. Queen Letizia will be back on Thursday. But mostly it's King Felipe this week. So we are going to move on now to finish up in the Swedish royal family. And we are finishing up. Sorry guys, we went a little long, although not as long as I thought we were gonna really go. And there wasn't a lot going on in Sweden. So Saturday and Sunday, there was nothing. Monday, King Carl Gustaf, Queen Sylvia, Crown Princess Victoria, and Prince Daniel met with the Director General of the Swedish Public Health Agency. Any guesses on to what they talked about? If you guessed COVID, you're right. If you didn't guess COVID, where have you been? Y'all, this is the only thing happening in the world. Maybe. It's not, as I'm about to basically pull an all-nighter watching U.S. politics burn in flames. Anyway, they had a discussion with the Swedish Public Health Agency about COVID and restrictions and all of that good stuff. And then today, on Tuesday, Prince Daniel took part in the annual Swedish Sports Gala. This is an event he does every year. Also, normally participating is Prince Carl Philip. So he was also a part of it. They did two separate, because they're in two households, they did separate like video greetings where they were both wearing tuxedos with bow ties, which I found to be hilarious because they were at their house. But it is my new favorite way to digitally attend an event. If you're going to a formal event, please wear a tuxedo with a bow tie from your living room. Please. I think it's amazing. It's the best event so far of the year for Sweden because it's so funny. And so this seems to be like a Scandinavian thing. I've never heard of it. I mean, I guess in the US we have like the ESPYs, which are the ESPN awards, which are sports awards. But none of our awards are funded by the government, let's be honest. But they're not funded by the government. They're not sponsored by the government or anything like that. And maybe this is a part of the US that like I just don't know that we have. And if we do have, we haven't had for 4 years. So we'll see if it comes back in the next 4. That'll be a fun challenge for me. Anyway, so this seems to be a Scandinavian thing where you do like annual sports galas where you're giving awards for sportsmanship. So that's what was going on in Sweden. That brings us to the end. I know it was a little bit of a long one. We did cover 4 days in less than 45 minutes though. So props to us. I will be back tomorrow or the next day, depending on, the amount of events that we have. So if there are a good amount tomorrow, I'll talk about them all. And if there really just aren't, or I can't like expand on them, we'll skip. But I will always give like a little 1-minute episode just saying like, hey guys, I won't be recording today because of this, like I did yesterday. So with that, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Please enjoy the rest of your day. If you're a U.S. citizen, please enjoy the inauguration or do not, depending on your political affiliation. I will be at home enjoying it tomorrow morning. So with that, I end this podcast and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.